Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In the video today, we're going to be doing a tournament recap of the first Angler's Choice on the Fox Chain of Lakes. The event went well. Ended up taking 6 out of like 40-something boats, so I can't complain. I thought we were going to do a lot better with the bag that we had, but man, them boys caught them. We had just under 14 pounds, which is actually a really good bag for the chain. But man, them guys caught them, like I said, so hats off to everybody else. But I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about how I caught them in practice, and then we will get into the event. So, practice was extremely interesting. We had very unseasonably warm weather for about 2 weeks. And when I say unseasonably warm, I'm talking like 70 and 80 degrees for April, which is unheard of around here. So we had pretty much like a week and a half to 2 weeks of that type of weather, and it ended up jumping the water temp up into the low 70s. So it was almost like we just completely skipped over the pre-spawn process there and almost got into the spawn process. And I actually was catching a majority of my fish dragging around a shaky head, which I've got right here, on rock and hard bottom areas that were just outside of spawning pockets. I was catching a lot of them that were up there bloodied up and in pairs. So I would flip this shaky head up there. This is a Wu Tungsten 3/16 ounce shaky head with a Excite Baits Slim X in Midnight Flash. Absolutely fantastic shaky head and worm. I mean, knock on wood, I have not lost a bass on that combo right there, but like I said, knock on wood. But I was catching them around hard bottom areas that had relatively deep water nearby, and when I say deep water, I'm talking like 3 foot or so for those fish to slide off. But the ones that I was catching on that shaky head in practice, they were bloodied up and paired up. You'd flip up there, stick one, toss it back in the water, you'd flip up there again, another one, eat it. Typically we just shook that one off, and then after we kind of figured out what was going on, we just located a bunch of fish, dropped a bunch of waypoints on them, and knew we were just going to come back through and fish that area really thorough when the cold front came through. And I really thought that this bite was going to hold up because that weather was going to get cold. I thought this was a way that we could catch a lot of keepers, and like I said, doing that, we caught a lot of quality 2 to 2 3/4 pound fish, which for the chain are money fish. If you got a bag of those, you got 13 pounds, you're going to be doing something there. So really thought that was going to be our deal. Also caught some fish throwing a spinner bait like this around some shallow rocks, trees, things like that, you know. But with the spinner bait, I had a big number 5 on the back and then a number 4. Reason for that was because it seemed like the slower you could get your bait moving, regardless of the size, it didn't matter if it was a 1/4 ounce spinnerbait or a 1/2 ounce full-size spinnerbait, didn't really seem to matter as long as it was moving slow. So I opted with the bigger spinnerbait there, just thinking I was going to get some bigger bites. Didn't really seem to matter, just caught a pile of fish doing that as well. So the days leading up to the tournament, that's when the cold front hit. And when I say cold front, I mean from 80 degrees to 40 degrees. So 30 to 40 degree difference overnight. So a massive cold front rolled through the area. As soon as that happened, I started pitching around my shaky head, expecting to get some bites in some other areas that I wanted to go practice, and it was not happening. I did not catch a single fish on this bait after that, so I knew something had changed. And we fished, me and my partner Brian fished for about half a day, and we're like, yeah, we got to change this up. I don't think this is going to hold up for the tournament. So we ended up trying to find some grass fish on some flats that were just holding out of some pre-spawn, or holding out of some spawning bays in the pre-spawn staging area. Ended up catching a pile of them and found a really good pot of fish, 2 to 2 3/4 pound fish on a lipless crankbait. This is the exact one that I was throwing actually. It's a tungsten 2-tap by Strike King, just like a bluegill pattern there. Caught a pile of fish on that. Really thought we were going to do most of our damage there. So at the start of the tournament, we ended up starting there thinking that we were going to catch a pile of them in the first 2 hours and then just be culling by ounces, and then halfway through the day we were going to go head hunting. So we roll up into the first area and go about an hour and a half and do not have a bite out of any of the stuff that we were fishing. So started scratching our heads a little bit, but we decided to stick it out in there a little bit longer because we knew those fish were not leaving. The fish that were in this area are kind of like resident fish, and they don't really leave that area. They winter in there, they spawn in there, they just kind of live there. So we knew that they were going to be around, and the only type of cover is rock, or is wood and grass. There is nothing else. Mud banks, grass, and wood. So we start fishing through some of the wood and stuff like that. I get to the second log that I end up fishing, and this happens. Big one. Yep, told you. I fucking knew that. I catch that one, which is about a 4.5 pounder, get it in the box, and I'm like, all right, things are gonna go down. Kind of figured a little bit of something out. These fish are now holding to the harder cover, which makes sense with the cold front rolling through, that they want to be up there tight to stuff. So we spend the next hour in there fishing all the wood, all the stumps, every piece of hard cover we could find, and it was just not happening. Did not have another bite. Ended up scratching that plan and going through a few of the other areas that we had caught them in the days prior. So knowing that this cold front was going to happen, I actually ended up making a very key adjustment the night before, and that being to throw this guy, which is an Excite Baits XB1. I tied this up and had not thrown it at all in practice, but I knew that with that cold front coming through so drastically that something was going to change, and you were going to have to get those fish to react. I mean, I just knew. I've seen it too many times now to where that comes back to bite me of fishing slow, when in reality those fish are still there. You just got to burn something past them. And got to my second area, and this happened. On that bank where I just caught that 14-incher is one of the spots that I had shaken a couple off on that shaky head a few days prior when it was very warm. So I knew there was going to be a few fish within 100 yards of that area. I just knew that they were going to be sticking around. They weren't going to go far. That's really close to where they want to spawn. So we fished around in there for another 20 minutes or so without a bite. As soon as we were about to kind of pull the plug on that, my partner was like, hey, let's just make one more pass through here. We're already here. Just take another 10 minutes and do it. Made another pass and ended up catching this one. Oh, Jesus. Are you fucking... And this one. After we caught those two fish, we're now sitting on 4. Not a great bag. I mean, honestly, 2 of them are 14-inchers, one of them's a 15-incher. Not really looking that great, but we're like, you know what? There's a lot of fish in this area. We're gonna stick it out. We're gonna grind it out for another hour, and thankfully we did, because we made one more pass, and then I landed this one. Now I know you guys can see in the video there, when my rod unloads, I about had a mini heart attack. I don't know what happened, but I had stepped on one of my rods and I stopped reeling for half a second, and that fish turned completely 180 degrees around and started running back at me. So there was nothing but pure slack in the line, and I am so lucky that I even landed that fish, because I mean, I thought for sure it was going to come off. But we caught that one, thought things were going to be good, ended up just kind of fishing around for a little bit longer in there. Wasn't happening, bite kind of died off, so we decided to just start running new water. So we pull up into another area, and I'm not even going to put them in here because it's kind of pointless. We culled maybe by an ounce or so. But just didn't happen. Could not catch a fish over 2 pounds, which, like I said, is absolutely insane, and I could not figure it out because in practice I was not catching big ones. I was catching 2 to 2 3/4 pound fish, which is what we really thought we were going to run into when we started fishing that second area that we had. But it just did not happen. We really thought it was going to happen in the morning. Didn't happen then, and we thought we were going to just run into them somewhere along the way. Had the 2 kickers that were really, really important to have in that tournament, but never ran across the overall quality that we needed. So good event, I can't complain. We got another one coming up in 2 weeks on the Fox chain, because our Angler's Choice Championship actually got postponed to July on the Mississippi River, because the water levels are like the 4th highest in history or something crazy like that. So not going to be a BFL either. There's going to be 2 back-to-back BFLs, which I'm going to film both of those for you guys. It's going to be really interesting. But with that said, stay tuned for the next few videos. It's going to be really awesome. Tell your buddies about it, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.